The museum lights blurred in the slick wet of the window, yellow squares stretched thin and wavering as tears on glass. I pressed my forehead against the deepest cold spot, damp hair stuck to my scalp, rain leaking through seams in my jacket. But still, I watched the way the doorman lifted the velvet rope for another grouping of the local art elite, each one an exhale of perfume and dry laughter. Behind me, the São Paulo night billowed with thunder clouds and wet tires. Taxis violating puddles with their urgent tails of white. My portfolio bag felt heavier than before, as if my choreography weighed more after they'd issued their verdict. I'd thought this night would be the pivot, the moment they'd see how movement could paint something more than lines on a canvas, how bodies in motion could shatter glass in someone's heart. Instead, I stood outside in the mulch of their spent compliments, the old man on the committee patting my arm and telling me, in accented Portuguese, maybe dance belongs on a stage, not in a gallery. Lightning split the city above the antique facade. My fingers curled into the fake leather of my bag, and inside, the rejection letter pulsed like a hot coal pressed to my ribs. I shut my eyes and let the rain keep rinsing my face until I tasted its mineral bitterness. He would slap the counter, say, "This is real work, Olivia, not your fantasy. Dance? Who cares? Learn accounting. Marry well." But it was in me. Not like a wish, but like a fever under the skin, a sickness from moving bodies and seeing stories without words. Know that I tried, again and again, to mute it, to focus on small practical things, preparing paperwork for Uncle's business, stringing beads for Aunt's necklaces. Even learning the neat columns of double-entry accounting so that I could plausibly call myself sensible. But at night, when São Paulo ticked with the sound of cabs shifting gears, I'd clear a space on the rooftop and let go. Sometimes it was only my shadow dancing, flickering against the water tanks and garbage bins, but inside the rhythm, I remembered who I was. Now, wet and cold, I walked from the gallery through the alleys I'd known since childhood. The city glowed blue and orange, rain pinged from tin awnings. Every step back home was a betrayal. I saw myself in darkened shop windows, skinny, shivering, a pose after failed applause. Doors yawned open, releasing music or soccer shows, laughter rolling out to remind me how easy home could be if only I would let go of the impossible. When I opened the apartment door, there was no doubt they'd waited up. Aunt Teresa sat by the table, sorting receipts. She looked up, eyes dark as overbrewed coffee. Tracking my soaked state without surprise or sympathy. "Well, did they love it?" she asked, already frowning. Behind her, Uncle slouched in his plastic chair, still wearing his sweat-stained bakery shirt. Vitor flicked the rim of his beer bottle, grinning. "Let's guess," he said. "Did they beg you to be the queen of the gallery? Or did they tell you to go back to ballet class with the little kids?" Something pinched in me, tender but made sharp by shame. I shrugged, setting my bag on the tiles, towing off shoes heavy as concrete. "No space for dance," I said. "They said it didn't belong." Uncle scowled. "I told you, Menina, it's not a profession. It's a hobby. You waste your time, you waste their time." "Ah, leave her, João," my aunt cut in. "She'll see. When you're old like me, no one cares if you spin and jump. The world is hard. Art is for rich people." Vitor raised his phone, pretending to film me. "Do a pirouette for Instagram, prima. Maybe you'll go viral. That's what you want, right?" Wet hair clinging to my cheeks, I bit back anything I could have said. Instead, I shuffled to my room, shut the door with the gentle click of defeat. It was not only the gallery that had judged me. To them, I was a small joke, a cautionary tale to their neighbors. Still, that night, as thunder stitched the city into patches of broken light, I moved. No conscious effort, just body memory, a spin, a lunge, arms carving the dense air. I danced not to impress, but to survive. The years after the rejection night blurred into a slow, grinding river of routines. São Paulo was relentless, a city always on the verge of eruption. Day jobs changed: dishwasher, bakery girl, courier. Each shift ended with grit in my mouth, fatigue pressing charcoal hands into my muscles. But every night, I carved out at least 1 hour for dance. Sometimes it was in the apartment, tiles slick under my bare feet. Sometimes in abandoned parking lots, beneath sodium lamps painting my skin the color of bone. I found others underground, breakers, contemporary dancers fleeing strict parents, a couple of samba rebels too wild even for their escolas de samba. We let in whatever spaces we could claim as our own. Someone brought a handheld speaker, another a flashlight. Here, nobody thought dance belonged to a gallery or to anyone. It was freedom, spellwork, raw and necessary. Still, the sting of rejection continued. The way the committee members' polite indifference made me question whether I was truly any good. Had I only been deluding myself? The city flooded, dried, flooded again. Rent rose, the real jobs dried up. But inside me the fever held. Then one bitterly cold evening, swaddling myself in 3 sweaters after a kitchen shift, I found a call for entries. This time, a competition run by a new São Paulo collective, Galleria Movimento. They wanted movement-based installations. Interactive, immersive, bold. Dance is not merely performance, the bold text read. It is visual art in time and space. When I read those words, something fluttered open inside, like the first drop of sun after the monsoon. I poured everything into that submission. Sketched on napkins, recorded videos in half-lit alleys. My friends from the underground showed up for free, spinning, leaping, reaching. The concept was simple. Bodies moving through white ribbons strung from ceiling beams, tracing lines across air, sculpting visible echoes of every breath. When I sent off the music, the proposals, the video, I dared not hope. The city was 1 million people hungry for the same chance. What were the odds? Then the email arrived at 4 a.m, blinking like a neon sign in my battered inbox. Congratulations! You are a finalist. Present your piece in the new gallery next month. The day of the presentation, I stood in the raw concrete halls of a gallery so new the paint still glistened. My heart hammered like a foot stomp against an echoing floor. My dancers, my friends, warmed up, shaking nerves from their wrists and ankles. The white ribbons glowed in the morning light. The committee circled, clipboards in hand. One woman, sharp and elegant, watched as we began. I counted the beat in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4. The music spilled, a sound only half melody, half street. And we moved, the ribbons catching elbows, knees, wrists, the shapes unraveling and reforming. I saw their faces, stone transforming to awe. By the end, the floor was littered with fallen ribbons, the air carved by our traces. A week of nerves later, they called. The collective wanted to commission a permanent piece, my choreography. They would pay. Not in exposure. Not in promises, but money. Enough to last a year if I managed it right. My hands trembled as I heard the words. I had done it. At least the first small piece of it. The next 2 years unspooled at double speed. I taught classes, choreographed shows, worked with street dancers and stage companies. Each project was a new stone in the building of a name, the name they'd mocked, now appearing in print and on walls, whispered at late-night events. Opportunities beget opportunities. Critics came. Someone called my ribbon piece the most honest dance the city has ever seen. A magazine put my picture in a spread. People who had once passed me on the street without a glance now stopped to ask, "Is it really you? The one from Galleria Movimento?" But always, in the thin morning hours, I remembered the apartment. the way shame tasted on that rejection night. I remembered, too, the still dark-eyed faces of my family and neighbors. The ones who believed a good job was the only precious thing, that dancing was for children, not women grown. 3 years after the first rain-drowned night, a new exhibition was set to open, anchored by a kinetic installation I'd created, movement, light, the bombastic bodies of São Paulo's youth. For the first time, the gallery was only a metro stop away from my childhood street. The press came, sponsors brought cameras, and word filtered through the grapevine like strong wine. I, Olivia Mendez, the dancer, would open for the city. When I called my aunt to invite them, her voice was careful. Us? Why do you want us, Filia? We don't belong up there with rich people. Please. You always said if I did something real, you'd come. There was silence, tinged with hesitation, but she agreed. Reluctantly, they came. That night, I dressed carefully, feeling new bones under my skin, strong, but no less tender for what they'd endured. The gallery was swollen with light and music. Outside, people queued beneath banners with my name, my image abstracted in flowing silhouette. I saw them as soon as they arrived. Aunt in her best dress, hair brushed flat. Uncle in a pressed shirt, nervous. Vitor scanning the crowd as if expecting a joke. They looked smaller among the city's cultural set. Artists, critics, dancers, journalists. My heart squeezed as I remembered being the outcast, watching from the rain. When they reached the front, the event coordinator smiled. Check them off the list. The artist's family? Please this way. Aunt clutched the invitation, her fingers white. Will it be weird? Just come see, I said, voice soft but sure. Inside, the installation space gleamed, a sphere of suspended glass panels